Today, we are diving into the transformative power of AI and XR, how these technologies are reshaping industries from finance to education.
AI will basically show, hey, these are some potential high risk areas. And the radiologist will go, oh, thank you for helping me out. Yeah, I look at this, I think this is fine, and so on. So this was happening 20 years ago.
Now, training and retaining employees can be tough for SMEs, but XR technologies offer a unique way to improve both of them.
AI can right now be embraced, and you can do experiments on AI to figure out. One of our learning is supposed to starting as I'm a geek and I want to play with cool technologies, to think about what business problems do I want to tackle. And if you start with the goal line, you're looking into how can I make technology a friend and a competitive advantage.
Are you exploring innovative training solutions for your team? Remember, investing in XR can not only enhance learning outcomes but also improve employee engagement and retention. Hello and welcome to the CanadianSME Small Business Podcast, where we explore the cutting edge technologies and strategies driving business innovation. Today, we are diving into the transformative power of AI and XR, how these technologies are reshaping industries from finance to education. According to a recent report by Deloitte Canada, digital transformation is a top priority for Canadian businesses, with AI and immersive technologies playing a crucial role in driving growth and efficiency. Joining us today is Adrian Moise, founder and CEO of Aequilibrium. With his expertise in digital transformation and innovation, Adrian helps businesses leverage technology to be more resilient, differentiate, and grow. Today, we'll explore how SMEs can harness AI, the future of XR in training, and the evolution of digital banking. So, let's dive in. Adrian, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Very good, thank you for having us.
Great, it's our pleasure. Now, Adrian, your work at Equilibrium is at the forefront of digital innovation, right? Let's start by demystifying AI for our listeners. Now, Adrian, many small business, they hear about AI, but they struggle to implement it and,
Mm.
to see how it applies to them. So, the first question to you is, what are some practical ways SMEs can use AI today?
It's a great question. There are lots of myths around AI,
Mm-hmm.
and the interesting thing, AI has been something that's been discussed for many actually years. I remember when I was studying many years back, we implemented expert systems. For example, how to pair a meal with a wine, or
Mm-hmm.
so. Obviously, since then, the technology has evolved,
Right.
and I think one of the progress that made a big revolution was when ChatGPT came out, and
Mm-hmm.
then enabled to move from technology savvy people querying databases to instead having natural language conversations, because everyone was now able to interact with
Right.
the AI engines
It was more accessible.
100%. So it basically removed that barrier in which your technical skills was a prerequisite to be able to interact with these technologies. And um, it changed from, do I have the competency to extract that information, to instead, am I asking the right questions?
Right.
So how do I unlock the potential that the AI has? Reality is we've been having help in many ways throughout the years, and AI, if you want, was hidden.
Right.
um, I did my PhD in e-health, and
Mm-hmm.
one radiologist or reviewing digital case studies on their computer screens, after they did the diagnostic, they could query the AI to ask, listen, are there any areas that I could pay more attention to, where some lesions maybe or calcifications? And then the AI will basically show, hey, these are some potential high risk areas. And the radiologist will go, oh, thank you for helping me out. Yeah, I look at this, I think this is fine, and so on. So this was happening 20 years ago.
Right.
How things have evolved right now, AI has become an expert to the point in which they become a certified radiologist. So not only has an opinion, but can actually provide diagnostics and interpretation. So similar to how our cars are helping us to stay safe on the road, you move from assisted, oh, you have a blind spot, or there is a, don't change the lane because, there is a car in your blind spot. Now you have self-driving cars. Well, that's one format in which AI is very well used in computer vision and then self-driving cars. Now, going back to businesses, one way to use AI, for example, is in communications. You have tools, for example, like Grammarly, which is a tool that can use to check everything you write, from emails to blog posts to social media. And you can personalize those interactions. For example, tell it, this is the brand voice and tone. Not only go from providing spell checking to make sure that the basic is covered, but am I on brand? And then am I consistent? For example,
It helps you brainstorm.
That's another component. It can help bring ideas. It can be, okay, here's kind of the talking points. If my audience is X, how might I customize the message? So focusing you like almost like this is the essence what I want to communicate. Can you package it up? So how do you tailor to my audience? So definitely one area that we see is with respect to personalization.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm also seeing another example. We do business to business with other companies and sometimes large organizations, and then we have these contract statement of work that regulate our business. What's expected? What do I have to do? What obligation? What are the consequences if something happens? So these contracts are really important, and hopefully you don't have to hit one of those clauses if something unpleasant happens. Luckily, we never had that situation, but it's better to be prepared. So reviewing these contracts is typically what you do with your lawyers. Well, now you can get advice from AI by providing some guidelines. I'm a corporation registered in British Columbia, and I do this type of work. Act as our head lawyer, review this contract, and then see risk high, medium, and low. And not only can do that, but now, okay, so this clause is a little bit risky, but I can also ask, give me an alternative, so I can send back to the other organization to say, hey, listen, can we make some changes like this? Similarly, in accounting, we can see this is another area in which you have a lot of data processed, and then you see things such as, for example, reviewing, like we work in financial services, and an example is people apply for different types of products and services, and financial institutions need to find that balance between, I want to bring people in and customers, but I also want to make sure I'm not taking too much risk, because if some of these people take a loan, a mortgage, and then if they default, then it creates problems and complications. So on one hand, how are you inclusive to allow as many people as possible to benefit of your services, but at the same time, being careful on the risk that you're taking with our business to say, well, that doesn't look very safe. And so these are some practical examples. We're also seeing, working in marketing, if you have a promotion, let's say, I'm going to use another example from financial services. We work with credit unions, and they call the customers members because it's a much more personal experience, kind of similar to how small businesses, really provide that VIP red carpet experience for our customers. And the marketing team in a credit union creates personas for their customers that say, hey, this is the typical profile for an individual like this. And then once you have these profiles, one approach is, if you distribute an offering, instead of saying randomly pick 20,000 people to receive this offer, is figure out, treat these customers like you know them. So based on this information you have about them, how do you make sure the offer is going to the people who will benefit to that most? So one that happens is that you have a better engagement and response rate, so your marketing campaign is more successful. and then your customers will appreciate that because they are not bothered by offers that are not relevant to them.
Of course.
So these
Great.
are some practical examples that
No,
um,
definitely very well articulated, and those were some very practical and actionable use cases. And it's clear that AI is more accessible than SMEs know. Definitely, really appreciate the answer. All right, now, so Adrian, building in the theme of cutting edge technology, let's explore the potential of XR in training and also talent retention.
mm,
Now, training and retaining employees can be tough for SMBs, but XR technologies offer a unique way to improve both of them. How can XR, that is virtual and augmented reality, make training more effective? And what kind of cost savings or efficiency improvement systems do you have in place?
mhm. It's a great question. So, one, to clarify, is, as you said, XR stands for everything that's reality, augmented, virtual, and mixed reality.
Mhm.
And we also see that when we bring together XR and AI,
Mhm.
we're getting great results. Um, some people are seeing the industrial metaverse as the evolution of the internet. Citi believes this is a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. When Apple launched the Apple Vision Pro a year or so ago,
Right.
they said like, "Hey, listen, if you think that your iPhone made a difference, you will see the changes, the revolution that will come from this industrial metaverse." So we look into ways in which we go from XR is like another gadget, something cool, to how is it practical? And one of the area where we think it has a lot of potential is in education and training, like you said. And the interesting thing is with these technologies, it's the same way when phones came up. And then people are figuring like, oh, I have a website. Why do I need, a phone? And then now everybody has to have a mobile app.
Of course.
So in the future, we believe these interactions will move from being two-dimensional to being three-dimensional,
Mhm.
from being basically single use to be social and collective. And this is what I think the metaverse is going to provide. Obviously, companies like Meta, well, all in. They say like, oh, this is the future. A few years ago, they hired tens of thousands of people and so on to build this industrial metaverse. Um, when we started building this experience for virtual reality and artificial intelligence, why we got excited about this one is, in addition to being a geek, I also was on the side of education, both as a receiver and giver, because I taught at the university,
Okay.
and then the old way of training, you go from being a spectator. Remember, your teacher comes in with a PowerPoint or one of those transparent slides and he
Right.
puts in a projector. The other way is to get training through watching videos online. And at the end of watching 10, 15 minutes of video, you ask some questions. Pick
Right.
from the list. Is this the correct answer? The problem with this approach, which is old school, is that there is only so much you can build in terms of your own knowledge by watching somebody else doing it.
Right.
Because when you see them doing it, it's like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. But when you go to do it, it's a different. So one of the things that VR and AI can do for you is that you get to build the muscle memory.
Right.
So, for example, nurses in New Brunswick, they can basically they have this program about study where you work because they want to keep these healthcare professional in the communities where they practice as opposed to bringing them to the universities
Hmm.
where the cities where they can actually learn on site.
Right.
So they give them those VR devices at home so they
Right.
can practice.
Right.
And the way you practice using VR is, let's say, if you learn how to um, take blood or insert the catheter and so on, you can practice by doing it yourself in a safe environment and
Right.
personalized environment as opposed to watching a video of somebody
Right.
doing the
So it's
work.
much more effective as well for you.
It is because you build muscle memory
Right.
and you also learn critical thinking.
Right.
So another example is when you go and do a simple blood test and somebody, puts a needle and draws some blood, 99.9% of those are totally normal. But what if somebody has, a stroke? Or what if somebody, has spasm and so on? So you go from like a routine operation to really you have to save somebody's life. So this is one of the example in which you can create one of those scenarios in which somebody does a routine operation and suddenly it's really about saving lives. How do you simulate that in real life? It can be consuming to bring people, actors, and so on to simulate a scenario like that.
Right.
If you just watch it on a computer screen and you're looking at, yeah, there's somebody, an actor doing that, it doesn't seem very pressured or, very immersive.
Right.
But when you put the headset on, you will feel the emotions. You will feel your heart pumping because the realism in the scene. You get fully immersed into that.
Right.
And the last thing I'm going to mention on this is that training can be personalized. We all learn in different ways.
Right.
Some of us through audio, and I'm listening to a teacher or a podcast. Other people visually, other people by doing things. And our speed of absorbing information can be different. When people play those videos online, those videos are created before you, and all the videos play the same thing, and it's the same curriculum. What if I can get personalized training? This is how I learn. This is when I basically absorb that information really fast and I can progress versus like, whoa, wait a second, I need to do a second try on this and so on. That's the part in which XR and AI combine can bring together both the immersive component but also the personalization.
Great. I think that's a very fascinating perspective. I think the potential for immersive training to transform learning is truly remarkable. I think that's a very innovative approach as well, and definitely the future looks very promising. Hi there, business owners and managers. Are you exploring innovative training solutions for your team? Remember, investing in XR can not only enhance learning outcomes but also improve employee engagement and retention. Now, let's get back to our conversation with Adrian and explore how AI can make small businesses more competitive. Now, moving on to how AI can level the playing field for SMEs, let's discuss its role in enhancing competitiveness. Now, AI is leveling the playing field for small businesses, especially, offering tools to improve efficiency, decision making, and also customer experience to a larger extent. How can small businesses use AI to compete with larger players or the big giants, as they call it in the industry? And what AI tools or platforms SMEs should be paying attention to right now as we speak?
I'm going to use another analogy. When cloud came out, it was another equalizer.
Right.
Why? In tech, for example, to start a business, you need computational power. So before, if you had a great idea, people who can design and build a product, there was obviously this prerequisite, this requirement, where all the staff will sit, who will give you the storage and the computational power. So what you have to do, you have to have money and investment to build these rooms full of servers,
Right.
so you can actually host your operations. And then if the business was doing well, you need to scale up. Oh, that office may not be sufficient. You need to buy even more servers and you need to have a whole IT team to do so.
Right.
So that was prohibitive. Who has hundreds of thousands of dollars to just pay on servers before you even know you can make a single sale?
Of course. Yeah.
How cloud demystified this is because, oh, maybe I don't have to deal with these operations. Maybe I can just put the credit card down and get some services from Amazon Cloud or from Microsoft Azure, and I can focus on building what I'm good at, my business, my product, my idea, my e-commerce store, and let this whole structure being transparent to me. And if my business is doing well, I'm just going to scale up the business on the spot, as the servers detect that the capacity, there is an overflow, there is an influx of business, it can scale out automatically. So this enables small businesses to be able to compete with $1 million infrastructure investment that only the large organization were able to do. Similarly, now AI is acting as an equalizer because one of the things small businesses have is flexibility and ability to adapt.
Right.
You don't have 5 layers of decision makers to be able to go to conferences and then memos and faxes being sent from different offices. Like, we get together and then we decide, okay, let's embrace this. How do we make sure we're using AI safely? And then let's try things out.
Right.
So this process between hypothesize, build, test, and learn can be much faster in a smaller business. So this circle, as opposed to, oh, I'm going to get it all right from the beginning, you may not. But if your ability to move from an agile development team to an agile organization enables you to learn faster. And even if your initial approach wasn't the best, you can tweak it and you can pivot. So AI can right now be embraced, and you can do experiments on AI to figure out. One of our learning is supposed to starting as, I'm a geek and I want to play with cool technologies, to think about what business problems do I want to tackle. Right. And if you start with the goal in mind, you're looking into how can I make technology a friend and a competitive advantage. We're still seeing large companies, while they're all saying, oh, we're interested in AI, they have blocked access to ChatGPT or other AI because they're saying, we're still waiting for our lawyers to decide how to approach this. And in the meantime, nobody can use it in the office. Now, the employees, especially right now, with many of us working remotely, at least part-time, if they cannot use on the computers that are provided by work, they'll use them on their phones and then email themselves the answers and so on. So we'll try to circumvent this type of blocks that the company is putting in front of them. So instead, smaller businesses can try a number of tools and be very nimble. For example, if we have some problems, let's say we're looking into how to optimize either, let's say, testing or our build process in software development, there are several providers who offer AI tools that we can use. You don't know which one of them, anywhere from a generic engine to very specialized one, which one is the most effective for your business. So what we did is we experimented. We said, like, for this particular task, what if we use different tools? We're going to use Claude, we can use OpenAI, and then try out, we can use Llama, and then try the same experiments with these tools. And we're looking at, oh, for this, I like this one better. For this tool performed better too.
It's trial and error method.
That's right. And this experiment can be quite cost effective. There are actually tools right now that you can subscribe in which you can change the engine on the fly. So if I have a question, as opposed to saying I have a subscription to OpenAI, which is basically ChatGPT, I'm stuck with that because I committed. No, I go to this aggregator, and then I have a subscription with them. And then depending on my task, I want to generate images, this image generator is the best. I want to create marketing videos, then I'm going to use this tool for that. So I can switch people. So it's almost like if you're running a kitchen and I'm looking into, if I want pastry, let me go to the pastry chef, not to the pasta chef, right? So I can have this type of iterations to identify what are the business problem I want to solve, how technology can help me, and out of my AI choices, which one is more suitable for that one particular task.
Great, that's a very strategic approach and very useful. And it's clear that AI can be a powerful tool for SMEs if they know how to ask the right questions and get the basics right. AI really does have the potential to level the playing field for small businesses. Let's take a short break right here, and when we return, we'll dive into the evolving world of digital banking and how AI and automation are reshaping the banking experience for SMEs and credit unions.
Hey, you think you know UPS? Yeah, that's us. Everybody knows that. You know what you didn't know? This. Okay, try to keep up. Ocean, us. Ground, rail, air, so us. Guess who? Us. Customs cleared, borders cleared, done. Us. Us. You still with me? Wait for it. Boom. Us. Intelligent, automated, fulfillment. Us. Yep. Healthcare too. Digital your thing? Yeah. Well, book it, ship it, track it. You feeling me yet? Yep, that's all us. That's all UPS.
At IHG Hotels and Resorts, we're in the business of you.
We're here to help you plug in,
Connect and recharge.
make an impression,
and meet with confidence.
With 19 brands built for business,
your business gets even more rewarding.
With an award-winning loyalty program at 6,000 IHG hotels and resorts worldwide.
Welcome back, listeners. Now let's explore how digital transformation is reshaping the financial sector, particularly for credit unions, and how AI and automation are making the banking experience more efficient and customer centric. Right now, let's shift our focus to the financial sector and discuss the digital banking evolution. Now, embracing AI and automation is key to enhancing the banking experience and to meeting the evolving needs of all the members. Now, but digital transformation reshaping financial services, what do credit unions and SMEs need to do to stay relevant? And how are AI and automation improving the experience, the overall experience for credit union members?
It's a great question. And I think SMEs and credit unions are similar because the same way as SME, we may be competing with multinationals. The same way credit unions can compete with the Royal Bank and the BMOs of the world, right? So it's kind of David versus Goliath. So now we're looking into, we're clearly not competing dollar to dollar or person to person because they may have 100 people for every person we have, or $1 million for every dollar we can put into that research. So then how do we make this fight winnable, like in the David versus Goliath type of situations? So we need to look into our strengths, and part of that is being nimble and agile. What we're seeing in credit unions and in financial services in particular is that the user needs continue to change. So it used to be that financial services, especially credit unions, stood out because they created great in-person experiences with their members. They treat them, again, they call them members, not customers. And members are actually owners of the financial institutions of the credit union as opposed to just a client of the bank. So that personal connection, that human component was really important. But now more and more of us bank digitally. It's convenience. How often do you go to the bank or to the branch? So the digital experience continues to make a bigger difference.
Definitely.
But now if I have to bank by myself digitally and we build this type of apps for our customers, then it can be overwhelming. So that's why people may go talk to an advisor. So just to say, oh, you know what, it's cheaper and less expensive if you self-serve, why don't you do it yourself? So we can cut costs on staffing and branches and operations. But then, is your business friendly to enable people to self-serve? It's like saying, oh, we used to have those yellow pages, those big books that you need a business or help, here's this go. Well, that's a pretty intimidating volume to go search for a solution in that. So similarly, the bank may have the credit union, a lot of services. How do I know to pick from that? So is the information easily accessible? Remember when talking about personalization. So if I'm banking with financial institutions for 20 years, I may have multiple products. And then you're showing me ads about, oh, get this checking account. I'm already your customer and I have that account. Why are you sending that promotion? It doesn't feel like you're leveraging the knowledge you already have about me. So how can you tailor the services to that? So we're seeing a few trends in here. One, it's about simplifying banking. So banking can be stressful. You have some big decisions to be made. How do you remove that stress? Some of these are taking the member experience to the next level, to the point of saying, oh, think about us about like financial spa. When you think about spa, you're thinking like, oh, it's going to be a pleasant event and I'm going to have fun and I'm not stressed. Versus, oh my God, I need to go talk to my banker. It's my loans and my mortgage and so on. So how do you change that from something that you're anxious and dready to something like, I'm going to enjoy my time there? The other aspect, financial institutions, like the telco, have a commodity service. What telcos are doing, we have these plans and we have this data, and everybody has the same. So what's the competition to give you more data for the same amount of money? So not a lot of differentiation there. So how do you moving from a commodity? Oh, banks are really about enabling you to hold your money and transfer money from A to B. That seems very black and white, simple, undifferentiated service. So what the opportunity is to move from commodity banking to financial wellness. So we hear about physical wellness, mental wellness. Similarly, it's oftentimes connected to financial wellness.
Right.
We actually, when we are looking into in which space should we focus, which niche to focus our organization, when we research what are the big stressors in people's life, money was one of them.
Right.
Right? Because if you think about that, it's about health, it's about where do you put your children, is what's going to pay my mortgage, what's happening, in the geopolitical environment. You see this affecting, if this is a concern, people will spend less money, and then everybody starts saving. People are not going to go out as much. They're not going to buy automobiles or houses and so on. And it creates like a negative feedback loop, right? So the approach here is, okay, if I treat you as a customer through your entire journey, imagine you just graduated. So your initial objective may be like, I need to find a job. I need to pay my, tuition fees and the loans that I had as a student. Then, okay, now you few years into your job, you started saving some money, maybe looking like I'm going to buy a car. I'm going to need a car loan and so on. Then after that, it's like, okay, I have a family. Maybe I want a mortgage and a loan. So you're looking into how do you guide these people on their journey as the needs change. So AI, for example, can be used for personalization. Two ways. One is you can look into people's transactions, both in the logged in state when you're using your banking services as a member, but also when you explore the public website, and then understand when members are becoming disengaged. So I don't want to lose that member. Not only like I detect that that member is a risk to go to a competitor, but I'm also looking like, now what? Well, what's the next best product I can offer? Maybe this person is looking for an auto loan. Maybe they don't think about us and somebody that can provide a good service for them. So how do I make them aware about some of the products? So one, re-engage the member, and two, provide the service that they don't know that you have, and then they're searching into a competitor.
Make them aware about it. Make them educated about it.
So one is they feeling like, oh, you're taking advantage of the fact that you know me, and then you actually increase loyalty, right? And then they will use more of your services. You will be more cost effective for him to pay your loan, your credit card, because they bank with you as a unified member profile, and your wallet share for that particular customer is increasing.
Great, that's a very insightful analysis. I think the need for agility and customer-centric solution, it's very important. And yeah, that was very valuable perspective. So thank you for that. Now you, Adrian, have a very interesting personal story, right? Transitioning from academia to the dynamic world of tech and Formula One inspiration. Let's explore that. Now, can you share how your experiences, particularly your interest in Formula One, influenced your approach to building a tech company today?
I'm passionate about Formula One, and I think there is a similarity between what Equilibrium does and what happens in Formula One. And why I love Formula One? Because it's the epitome of speed.
Right.
And when somebody wins a Formula One race and they go on the podium, it's because they have the best package.
Right.
Strategy, design, and technology. So what does that mean? So technology is clear. These cars can go 370 kilometers an hour. Right. They are the fastest car on the world. Amazing pieces of engineering. Now, you may have a powerful engine, but if the aerodynamics, if the design of the car is not good, it means that it doesn't handle well in turns, or it doesn't have enough downforce or so on. So design impacts the performance of the car. the race strategy matters. What tire do you have? When do you change the tires and so on? How do you use the two driver in the races are happening almost every 2 weeks. A new race in a new environment, in a new country, different type of track, humidity condition, track condition, tractions, changes. Well, that's not unlike what technology companies like Equilibrium are doing, because while our bread and butter is to create these custom design and technology implementation solutions, we also help clients on the strategy side. Because one of the big questions is, as opposed to one component is delivery execution, working regulated environment. So being able to deliver these big projects of quality and time and budget is not easy.
Right.
But the other aspect is this the right problem the customer should focus on? We're working with clients here in Toronto too. Sage Real Estate is one of them. And I remember we helped them launch this product to market. And one thing they said, we appreciate a partnership not because you help us to launch this app, but you help us reframe. You help us ask a better question. So not only taking you to the destination faster at a lower risk, but
solving
is that
a
the
better
workplace? That's right. So that's the strategy component.
Right.
So you see that analogy, strategy, design, and technology between what we do and what Formula One needs.
Right.
You need a winning package.
Right.
And we are part of that winning package for that client that we're working with.
Great. I think that's a very interesting analogy. To conclude, Adrian, let's summarize the key insights for all of our listeners. If there's one key takeaway that you'd like our listeners to remember about leveraging AI and XR for business growth, and what would it be? And also, what financial advice would you give to SMEs who are looking to innovate in today's evolving market?
So one piece of advice that worked for us, and it helped us grow our business despite all this turbulence, has been around starting with your business priorities, figuring out what are the needs that you need to solve for your business, and then how do you make digital transformation and technology your competitive advantage. So starting with the right problem to solve, and then framing that into a hypothesis. I believe blah will help us achieve this. AI can help us personalize our messages, create better experiences. What are your customers' unmet needs? Where are the areas in which you can have a competitive advantage? And by innovating in that space, it will position you well. Certain spaces are very tight, very competitive. So you need to figure out what dimensions, what characteristics do you want to focus for your product or for your service that can help you stand out, differentiate, and grow. And it's a lot about people, and even digital transformation oftentimes is about people. So the people that you have and the customer that you work with, they are a big part of, making a big impact.
Great, that's a very valuable advice. Thank you so much, Adrian, for taking out the time to join us today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It was my pleasure. It was great to be here.
Thank you. That was an insightful conversation with Adrian Moise, founder and CEO of Aequilibrium, on the transformative power of AI and XR in driving business innovation. His expertise provides valuable guidance for SMEs looking to leverage cutting edge technologies for growth and competitiveness. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. We really appreciate your continued support. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast and more expert insights and resources that can help your business thrive. Also, don't forget to visit our website, CanadianSME.ca, for more of such valuable information and tools. And lastly, a very special thank you to our podcast partners, RBC, UPS, IHG Hotels and Resorts, and Google for their ongoing commitment to empowering small businesses in Canada. Until next time, keep innovating and striving for success, and we'll see you in the next episode. Kripa Anand signing off.